Welcome to today's design session. I'm Rebecca Robeson, and today I want to teach you how you can add the biggest impact to your home. How's that? Well, add a built-in. Can you imagine what this room would look like if I didn't have this built-in here? Well, I can, because I didn't have it here for years. Take a look. Every room in your house can be impacted by a built-in, and I'm going to further illustrate that right now. In today's session, we're going to cover three very important things. Number one, we're going to take a look at if you have the opportunity to create a brand new built-in in your home, just exactly how to do that. The second thing is, what if you have a built-in, but it's not really a wow? Well, I'm going to show you how you can embellish something that already exists and make it out of this world. And the third thing is, I'm going to show you how to hack a built-in. These are pieces you can buy in stores, and you can get a similar look, but you can move them from house to house. If you're watching live, we have the extra added bonus of being able to contact me via Twitter, and I will communicate with you. I will draw on pictures if you send them to me, and I'll answer your questions. So I'm going to make this very simple for you and break it down into three basic principles that can be applied in any situation when it comes to a built-in. Number one, dominant location. You want this to be in a place where you're going to see it the moment you walk in. It's got to be a focal point. Number two, you're going to want to take it side to side, floor to ceiling. In other words, bigger is better. And number three, light that puppy up. It makes all the difference in the world. Let me tell you some important things about built-ins, why I love them so much. It gives you an opportunity to take your accessories and your artwork up the wall, not just on surfaces, but it is an excellent location for extra storage. So you kind of need to think about how you want to use your built-in. I've used them so many times in places where I have a small home or just not enough storage anywhere. And you know what? It takes up literally, at a minimum, 12 inches of foot space along your wall, or at maximum 24. Back in the day, they used to have to be deep because you'd want to put a television on it. You'd want it to be like 20, 24 inches deep. But nowadays, literally, a built-in can take up only 12 inches of the footprint of your home. A built-in can take a billiard room lounge from this to this. A boy's bedroom from this to this. And yes, that is the same room. A closet from something that looks like this to something that looks like this. It's typical to think of putting a built-in in a family room, right? Well, here we have one, but it could have been better. How about this? Even a dining room can be improved with a built-in. It can start like this and end like this. Another family room couldn't move the fireplace, so we took it from this to this. This little girl's bedroom I knew could be improved with a few little built-ins. You may not believe this one, so hold on to your hats, but this is a unused guest bedroom turned from bedroom to home office. Now here's a built-in in a family room, but do you notice what I noticed? That door is right in the way and caused the built-in to have to be much smaller than it should have been. How about if we take it from here to here? I brought the built-in right over that doorway and on over to the other side. And a typical laundry room with cabinets already inside. What if we take those two built-ins? It could look like this. Have you ever thought about putting a built-in in your kitchen nook? How many of you would love to have a home library? Well, in this house, they had one with a built-in in it, but it was only 8 feet tall in a 10-foot tall room. So I took it from this to this. This is what my clients had for a closet before. I think we could step it up just a little, and okay, just a little. And And one of my all-time favorites, this living room with a 20-foot tall ceiling could go from this to this. And finally, last but not least, this is a resort lounge. The place you check into the hotel, it used to look like this. You want to see what it looks like now? So I am hoping that you're getting the point that a built-in can be mind-blowing, room-changing, life-changing. I mean, built-ins are where it's at. This is a big deal, the built-in. Let me tell you what all of those rooms have in common. 3 things. 1, I picked a wall that was a focal point wall. In other words, if you're going to walk into a room, there's usually a wall in front of you, or there's one that's angled over here. You want to put it on your most important wall. The second thing I did was I broadened the scope. I went big, meaning I went to the ceiling, or I went wall to wall, or to the floor. And then the third thing was I lit all of the shelves in my built-ins. It is by far one of the smartest things you can do. You want to be able to see everything, and it's a big mistake. I see a lot of people who do have built-ins made for themselves, or they have a carpenter come and do it, and they don't light those shelves. And when you don't light your shelves, you're not going to light the things that are on the shelves, particularly if it's a dark built-in, if it's stained. Of course, the way you accessorize it in the end is very, very important, but I can tell you that styles change over the years. They really do. So for me, in accessorizing these days, I go with things that are light colored, that are calming. So keep it as calming and as simple and as beautiful as possible. And I don't even mind having things that match each other. And I'll show you that on my own built-in, okay? I was thinking the best way to illustrate and explain a custom-made built-in would be to actually show you my own, the one I have in my home. Now, I've had it for 15 years, and I love it as much today as I did the day that I designed it. There are a lot of details that I took into consideration, and I'm going to show them to you. And these details, these 3 principles, are going to apply to every built-in I show you. A lot of you know that I use a 3D modeling program in my design business, and so I went ahead and I put my built-in into this model and created my actual floor plan. Remember I said number 1, you need to find the wall you want to put it on. When you walk in here, my front door is right on this side, so that tells me I either want my built-in to be on the wall straight ahead, which was impossible, or I want it to be on this wall right here, which was challenging. Because I want to look straight ahead, or I don't mind turning to the left or to the right, but what I don't want to do is I don't want to turn around to have to see the best part of the living room. Plus, if you'll notice here, my ceiling is vaulted, and it vaults down to this side. If I had put my built-in over here, that whole ceiling, all of that wonderful height, would have been pointing to this 8-foot tall built-in down here, and it would have been more like a wah, wah, as opposed to a wow, right? So I decided this is the wall that I wanted to put it on. Remember I told you, the next thing is to take it as big as you can. Go as high as you can. Well, when I say that, some of you have 20-foot ceilings. Don't do a 20-foot tall building. A little inappropriate. So this right here is an 8-foot ceiling. That's the lowest point. So that's going to be my lowest point. But as I come across here, right here is a doorway into another part of the house. All right, that's only 10 feet, 10 inches. If I take my built-in here, what have I done? I have done nothing better than what I showed you in here. Do you remember this picture right here? I showed you this. This is a family room that I did for a client. But do you see how it starts at the wall over here and then it stops? Why? Because of the doorway. Well, that's a bummer. That means you're only using maybe a little more than half of your room because all of this is just wasted space over here. So my thought was, well, if I can't move that door and I want my built-in to go here, what if I actually design my built-in to go all the way across that door, and I'll just make a walk-through pathway. I can actually walk through the built-in to go through the door. That's a great idea, don't you think? And that's exactly what I did. Then I decided my ceiling goes up here. I don't want to not take advantage of that. And I want some different heights. So if this is kind of the middle of my built-in here, well, how about if I bring that part up? I'll go up like that and I'll go over, let's say 20 inches there and 40 that way so that it's even. And then I bring it down on both sides. And then I can do something in the middle here, right? I was able to play with my vaulted ceiling, get some different heights and some different depths in there, and then bring it all the way across. Now, in my house, what I actually did after I designed this part, I was like, I might as well just take this thing on into the other room, which was my husband's office, the interior home office, and so I did. And it made for a 22-foot long built-in in our living room. When I say go edge to edge and as high as you can, my built-in is the perfect example of that. And you know what? That's why it's a wow. Do you guys want to see what my living room looked like before I added the built-in? Here you go. Another reason I didn't want to use a built-in that just went from the wall to the door is I had identified already what I needed to use this built-in for, and that's something you want to consider. How are you going to use it? Is this for your television? Is this for blankets and games and toys? You need to know how you're going to use this space so that you can design it in a way that it's actually going to meet your needs. Then after that, after you get take it as wide as you can and as tall as you can, the last thing to do is to remember the electrical aspect. I am huge on lighting things up. All of my cabinets, all of my shelves, all of the little cubbies, every single one of them has a light in it. And here's a couple of little tips for you. Number one, if you're going to be doing built-ins with the little puck lights in them, I like to pull those lights as far, I'll do it toward you, as far forward as I can and get it on an eyeball so that it angles. Now I'm lighting up my accessories rather than lighting my accessories. It's so much more beautiful. You can also use LED tape lights, which is what we use nowadays. I just would, number one, make sure that whatever you use, you have an electrician do it with a dimmer. I love to be able to dim the lights in my built-in so that at night while we're watching television, we can kind of bring it down and we still have a nice soft glow rather than this, whoa, thing that's all lit up. All right, so lighting is super important. Another thing is I also in mine have included a couple of places where I have outlets. In the very center above my television, I have an outlet up there. Why? Because at Christmas time, I know, you guys know me at Christmas, I love to light things up, plugging in the little twinkle lights or the starry lights. And then another place I have an outlet in my built-in is on the very top of my built-in because that's where I usually put my angel with its fabulous wings. If you are able to custom design your own built-in, you can make those kind of decisions, but keep those things in mind because you're going to wish later that you had. On the bases of each one of these cabinets, these are all storage cabinets down below. So I keep family photos, I keep throws and blankets and things like that in here. All of the television equipment is in here. But as you can see here, look how this graduates higher, lower, lower, very symmetrical. I have this opening here for the doorway. Now, as I show you my built-in today, it has morphed and changed because that doorway went away. We closed that off. It was an outside office, so it looks a little bit different in what you see now. And then these are all lit shelves for decorations. So I can say that having a built-in in my living room has been a game changer for me. Many of you have watched my YouTube videos over the years, and you've not only seen me decorate it for different themes or the way I have it now for spring with this millennial pink living room, but I've also done a home goods, accessory haul. And of course, probably most known for my Christmas decorating, and you have seen that built-in year after year after year with the themes changing, the figurines, This is the perfect time for me to tell you, go and watch our accessories design session. Go back to your notes on that, and for those of you who haven't seen it, go and unlock that session because it would be very, very, very important and helpful for you and be inspirational. Let's ask some ordinary people, what do they think about built-ins? I'm here today at IKEA in Mission Valley, and I'm going to stop some people and ask them what kind of home improvement projects they're working on right now. I mean, that's the reason you come to IKEA, right? Do you mind talking to us for a second?
So I just sold my house and renting a condo.
Have you done much decorating in your home?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
What's your experience with built-ins? What are you working on?
Moving into our house. Yeah, new house.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah,
you guys are roommates?
Yeah.
Are you doing a built-in or any kind of entertainment center? You're gonna hack a built-in, right? You're gonna create something that looks like a built-in, but it actually is movable.
Exactly, and I mixed that with some high-end piece of furniture, so you won't even really feel like it's IKEA.
That's the whole point. Oh, you do? Thank you. Your wife is going to be so happy and so proud of you. I'm proud of you, and I don't even know you. All right, go big, go wide, go tall, and add lighting.
That's right.
Right?
Oh, lighting, for sure.
If you had one word of advice based on your experience, having designed built-ins, used them in your projects, what would you tell our audience?
Know what you're putting in them. Measure so that you're putting built-ins that will fit the stuff you hope to store in there.
That's perfect.
That comes up a
Start
lot.
off with your finished result. What is it you plan to put in there?
What you're using it for.
So I'm going to show you some photos, a project that I've done where we didn't use a built-in, but we hacked it. Meaning we created a cohesive look on one wall that sort of gave you the same impression that a built-in does. But these are pieces you can buy in stores and you can get a similar look, but you can move them from house to house. It's a lot less expensive and it's also very effective. In this room right here, this is actually the focal point wall. I decided I got to create something on that focal point wall when you first walk into the room, and that's what's staring at you. So we took this wall here and we added 2 bookshelves with, like china cabinets, right tall. They were from Restoration Hardware. Nice and tall. I got as tall ones as I possibly could. The sofa fits in between the 2, and there's a gorgeous linear painting above the sofa. But do you see how we created this very full, all the way across, all the way up feeling? And that is on our focal point wall. This picture here is walking in. There's this amazing entryway, and if you saw the tile episode that we did just last month, you'll remember that entryway that had the paisley mosaic pattern of tile all over, and it was a rounded. Well, that's this house. Your focal point wall when you first walked in was this wall that you see here. The clients did not want to do a built-in in here. We did them in other rooms, but right here, no built-in. However, we still wanted to make a great first impression. So in this case, I used open shelving, again from Restoration Hardware, put the sofa in between, a painting above. You get the impression it's not a built-in, but it does much of the same. There's places for storage, there's places for visual artifacts. Now, these 2 floor lamps are actually lighting up those bookcases. The third step, of course, is to light things up, and the way we lit this up is with those floor lamps. Here's a condo that I did, and yes, they have a curio cabinet that spreads the wall. I mean, they've got stuff all over the place so that it looks impressive and big and interesting. It's just so out of date. So again, no budget really for a built-in on this wall. We spent a lot of money on this house, just not on a built-in. So on this wall, I said, can we at least get some open shelving? Now this project was a number of years ago, but they still had flat screens then. I don't know what happened there. We had to still use that TV, but this is how we created the sense of a more updated and modern built-in in that room by putting the television in the center and a pair of matching bookcases on either side. I added lights to this bookcase area. And you know what they are? You see on the top left and top right? Those are round balls that I got at IKEA. Put them on top of the shelves, plugged them in, and then ran the cords down behind and stuck them so that you never did see them as you walked in and looked at everything on there. Here's another hack. Now, IKEA is one of my favorite places to hack. Usually if we're hacking, it's because we're on a budget. So IKEA fills that little niche perfectly. This is a boy's bedroom. Now, just so you know, we have a video on this. It's called Joey's Room. It was actually the first real interior design video I ever uploaded on YouTube 10 years ago. But if you want to just have some entertainment and fun, you should go back and watch that. And look at, he's got his desk and his and all of his music equipment, and not to mention every guitar ever owned in the world. He even has a air conditioning unit in the window, which of course is one of my favorites. I decided I was going to take his existing closet and turn that into this menagerie of desk stuff, and then move the closet out into the room. And how did I do that? With a hack built-in called the PAX wardrobe system. And that is how Joey's room turned out. Do you see it's definitely on a focal point wall? It's actually secondary, kind of one of these, so you can see it when you first walk in, or you can see it from the side. But look at the top. There are lights that go down each one of those units individually, and IKEA is amazing at that. We have a light fixture over the window. Oh, and the air conditioning unit is gone. What a shame. But as you can see, I brought that built-in look as far over as I could before it hit the window. Here's another, a young man, my hairdresser. This was his condo, his apartment, and he had wanted to put a built-in on this wall. Now, do you see that opening right there? What that did is that gave him only so much room on this wall in order to put some kind of a built-in or a TV unit there. And I said, listen, let's cover the entire wall with the IKEA panels. It'll look like a built-in, it'll give you a place for your television, you can center your television on the wall, it'll even look good from the other side when you look through. And this is how Daniel's place turned out. Is that amazing? Do you see it? It's the principles. I found the wall it should go on, that first impression wall. We took it all the way from side to side. In fact, we went over a window. We took it to the ceiling from the floor. We lit it, and this is how it turned out. Here's a girl's room. She had a cute little room that had flowers, and it's absolutely adorable. But she was going into middle school, and her mom wanted her to have a little bit more fun, juvenile, but a little more sophisticated room. Her room did not have a closet in it. So I took IKEA PAX wardrobe systems on either side of her window, and I added a bench seat below it. And that gave us the look of a built-in window seat. This is my son's apartment in Chicago. If you've seen the video on his apartment, oh my gosh, that thing was the tiniest postage stamp. It was only 300 square feet.
Let's see, I can touch both sides at one time. Wow.
So there was no room for a built-in, but we still liked that look. Do you see how narrow that hallway is right there? That's a hallway taking you back to the bathroom. I actually decided to do IKEA bookcases along that wall, taking up some of that walkway, believe it or not. That's kind of scary. We painted the walls a neat color behind it, added this espresso kind of IKEA pieces, and created the look of a built-in. And that's how Scott's apartment in Chicago came out. Honestly, with the use of colors, the brick over here, the drywall here, how this bookcases graduate up in height, even though you can tell that hallway is even narrower than it was, it never felt too narrow. We added so much storage. We took those bookcases all the way, wall to wall. We took this one here with the television all the way up to the top. There's that principle. Find that important focal point wall. Use your space as high and as wide as you possibly can, and then, of course, add lighting. I apologize for the quality of this photo. It's actually, this is quite an old project, but upstairs, it was like a loft kind of space. She must have been 9, okay. She was younger. She had all these toys, and it was sort of like the throw it up there thing, and she'd go up there and play sometimes. We wanted to turn it into something that was much more organized, user-friendly, and actually would motivate her to want to go up there and play with her things that she didn't want to get rid of. We used IKEA bookcases, and we turned it into a space that looked like this. So organized. There was a place for everything. We even put these little day beds up there where she could lay, read. We had special lighting put in, and we took it wall to wall all the way. I think you can fully see that. So it was a great use of space and made things so much more tidy and organized. This is an apartment that actually it was my son's very first apartment. And in this is the focal point wall when you walk in. This was the wall his IKEA sofa was going to go on. But you know, you just put a sofa on a wall of drywall. Take a look around your house. How many of you have that? You may look at a wall and go, I just don't know what to do above my sofa. I don't know what to do above my this or that. Get a pair of something, put it on either side, fill in that space, give the overall impression of a built-in, even if it's not, even if it's movable, and you will be so impressed with how it looks. This apartment we did on the strictest budget ever, but look, a couple of IKEA bookcases, some art pieces above, woven blinds on either side, and this huge poster left over from one of the Gap stores. You walked in, I'm telling you what, this kid was 18, and every one of his friends was like, whoa, my apartment doesn't look like this. Now, the last thing, of course, is my own hacked bookcase built in. I'm super proud of the very first hacked built-in. I call it my movable built-in because I used it in so many homes, and I had it for like 8 to 10 years. This piece was so simple, I actually went next door to my neighbor's house, and I asked him, he was outside working on another woodworking project. He did it all the time. And I said, Jim, would you be interested or willing to make me like a built-in cabinet kind of thing for my house? And he said, well, I don't know, what do you want? And I said, well, I wanted to have a cabinet on the bottom that I can put stuff in to store things. And I wanted to have like shelves above that step back, and the shelves like some crown molding so that I can use it to put my accessories on, and it can make a great first impression in my house.
Who's wrong and who's right?
And you know what I found? The design of this, and you guys, if you want to take this and copy it, be my guest. Send me 10%. I wanted 3 separate columns. I wanted the 2 outside ones to be a little bit wider and the center one to be a little bit narrower. I wanted floating shelf, looking like floating shelves. I wanted crown molding. I wanted a base cabinet. I wanted a countertop. So here's what was delivered to me. 3 stainable tops and 3 painted bottoms. Now, let me tell you what happened. The very first home that I had designed this for looked like this. You see how it went from this side of the wall all the way across to this side of the wall. And then the 3 base cabinets gave me my countertop, and it gave me my shelving below. And you can see why I cut those corners to make it a little bit more easily accessible into that room. Once we moved into a house that actually was shaped like this. And this one I have pictures of, so I'm going to show it to you. Except in this one, I took the center piece out. You see that? That was the leftover piece. And I left the 2 top pieces on and the 3 bottom pieces. Now, the thing I want to tell you is everything you see in this original built-in, I had everything in there that's accessorized in there is all from garage sales, not one new item purchased. I discovered that because I did not have this lit, I ended up going in and drilling holes in these back solid pieces. I would drill a big round hole so I could put a little antique kind of lamp in there, and the cord would go through the hole down the back and it could be plugged in. This entire episode, I've been driving home the point, add lights to your built-ins. makes such a huge difference, but what if you can't? Well, let me change your life in under 30 seconds. Here's the tip. Add mirrors to the back wall of your built-in. It will reflect any light source that happens to be going on in the room, on the other side, even natural light from windows. Makes a big difference. And it'll make it look like it has light, even though it doesn't. Let's head into the next section where I show you how to embellish an existing built-in. Now in this case, the built-in is existing, so you don't get the chance to, select the location. It just is. But you can take something you already have and make it look better. In this particular one, the reason I wanted to show this to you first is this is one that we did that was literally cost next to nothing. It's just knowing the tricks, and here are the tricks. I wanted to at least get some height here. You know how I am about that. Got to give me some height. And then the other thing I did was I got rid of these two cabinets right here in the center and opened that up. This has little wood shelves inside, so we replaced those and put glass shelves in. Essentially, that was the majority of the money that was spent, was just to order a couple glass shelves. And we had the electrician add lighting to the cabinet because, of course, that's what we do. I also decided to darken the back wall so that the entire cabinet would look like one large. Remember that whole concept. Remember, the only cost to them was paint, a couple of glass shelves, and when I say a couple, they're just small, just a few dollars, and some lighting that was installed inside. And I think you're gonna see that this has a much different look. Can you see this? Dark chocolate paint in the back and on the back here. We added some new hardware, of course. But look at this, some glass shelves inside. But that right there, that's quite a difference, wouldn't you say, from the original photo to this one with very little money spent. I bet you could do something like that in your home if you had this sort of a setup. All right, the next one is in a family room that already had a nice big built-in in it. But I saw some things that were disturbing to me, and hopefully the way you look at things now, which is take it to the sides and take it to the ceiling. These doors right here, were very square looking to me, and they just looked like an extension of a kitchen. And I felt like this was a lovely family room. Why don't we make this into something that looks more like a piece of furniture? So by just replacing the two doors right here and right here, and then doing these drawer looking things, that would make a difference. But here's the part that really bothered me the most, and it was right over on the sides. Do you see what I see? There is a complete missing piece of this built-in. They just let it run into the drywall, and that felt very unfinished to me. And then right here, you can see that there are these shelves here. I said, let's get rid of this shelf and this shelf. Let's do those few things, and this built-in will look so much better. The next photo I want to show you is of a formal living room, and the couple who bought this house, they were young. We decided to turn their living room into a billiard room. They had an existing built-in, as you can see here, if that's what you want to call it. It was kind of a hot mess. Look at, even the shelf is falling down over here. So I said, let's keep that built-in. We redid the fireplace. That was going to be something way cool. I decided this wainscot needed to be actually legit and do it in like a beadboard or a shiplap. And then on this, we made this a little wider and bigger and filled this in with white, and then redid the shelves and the backing to be all white. This was the fireplace mantle, okay? And here is the after for this room. You can see the billiard table right here, right? And look at this beautiful new fireplace right here. And you can tell we did the beadboard and the bookshelves. All in all, this looks so much better than it did before. Do you agree? That's just embellishing something they already had, and the cost was very minimal. In this next photo, I'm going to show you how I took a piece of furniture that had been stuck into an existing sort of quasi built-in, and how we decided to keep this beautiful piece of furniture. So you can see right here, the client had already bought a Pottery Barn chest of drawers right here. But look, she has it surrounded by these white melamine cabinets and shelves. My idea was to connect this entire thing with the lower piece of furniture. Instead of the white melamine, let's make it look just like this piece, making this an amazing built-in, all right? Look how this bottom piece here and this one over here matches and coordinates so perfectly with this already existing piece of furniture from Pottery Barn. With these new tops added, this looks very much like what I just drew for you on my iPad, does it not? I hope this is helpful for you to see that you can incorporate pieces of furniture you already have, but do you see the difference here? Not just that it went from the dark and the light, but I've taken the entire space and I've made this something incredible. Some of you may have an existing cabinet running down the length of one of your hallways or something like that. This was just literally something that came with the house, this piece of furniture, but it was just the bottom. And it was meant to have, like if I had this home, I'd probably do a nice big painting up here and maybe put some lamps right here on either side. But the day may come that I want this to be something special. I want this to be a built-in. Well, how can I do it without getting rid of this bottom piece? How can I keep the bottom piece and incorporate an upper piece? Well, we had our built-in guy, which is Oscar, add upper parts to this entire existing built-in. So in this kitchen, I love this because the clients did not want to redo their kitchen, just too much to the budget. But I said, how about if we embellish some of what you have and make it look more furniture-like? And I said, how about we keep the bottom, we will get rid of this, but what we will do instead is we will add a topper. Now, of all the ones I'm showing you, this one is kind of more intense and involved. But what did I do? I took it as high as I could and as wide as I could. I separated this area here, made this part in the center for display, and then on the sides, we turn this into a wine holder location. Do you see how the bottom part is still that honey color, but the sides are what I did that nice rich stain wood in, and then the center is all for display, for china. But we took up from the ceiling down to the top, and we even kept that same granite. All of that remained there. But take a look again at the before and after. And you'll notice that the backs of these cabinets here, these glass doors, are all in that stained wood as well. So it tied the island in that kitchen. Shall we go back? Ah, more stained wood. We made what was just a plain average cabinet in a kitchen something very special. So here's another family room for you. I wanted to include this because this is a relatively recent project. Most of the things I've shown you up till now have been older projects. I tried to talk this client into fixing his built-in around the fireplace. This is his main room. It is his family room. And I said, you know, look at this. Over here, you've got this great, display. And then over here, you've got this, what in the world is that? Well, it was originally the built-in that was created for the television. So these doors opened in and back, right? They went like this, went back. So now it was just kind of an odd, non-symmetrical built-in because now they had a flat screen television. So here was my suggestion. And this is what I said to the contractor. Let's just mimic this side. And once we do that, that is now going to feel cohesive, symmetrical, and quite frankly, beautiful.
Put the place up.
Isn't that beautiful? Look it's so clean and simple. I basically just had them copy what they did here over to this side. And what we have now is beautiful symmetry, a clean look. It changed the look of this family room significantly. So I've saved this project for last because I wanted to explain to you really the thought process that goes into how I come up with the embellishments I do on existing built-ins. In this client's home, as you can see, they had 2 built-ins, and they were the type that are recessed into the drywall, and I bet a bunch of you have built-ins just like that. If you've been watching and you've been paying attention and you've been writing in your notes, get that focal point location, take it from floor to ceiling and wall to wall, and then light it up. So in this case, we had all 3 things going against us, because when you entered this room, you entered right here. So this right here is your focal point wall. This is your secondary wall. This is your thirdary wall, which is your least important or the worst wall to put a built-in on. Already, they weren't in the best locations. Now the second thing is, neither of them use up the available space. This one over here is smaller, but look at here. There's drywall here on either side. They could have extended that built-in. And then over here at the fireplace, we have another issue. Take a look at this. This right here could have been impressive, but it's so small. It's just like recessed into this little thing, and the fireplace isn't part of it. So I thought to myself, well, what if I add a column here, and I add a column here, and then I do this stained wood paneling all the way around this fireplace, and we'll keep that arch. That would look more impressive. But guess what? You see this line here on the staircase? Yeah, that was an issue. And I was trying to deal with my windows over on this side. So actually, I took the line all the way up to the top, basically the floor of the upper floor. I just, in my mind, and as we drew it out, I thought that's what's gonna look the most impressive. So here's a process photo that shows you exactly what they did before they stained it. Right along here, that's the original, okay? Here you can see the columns are added. They filled in this little, I don't know, emblem kind of thing here and added the crown molding. This is how this side, the fireplace side, looked. Remember I talked about the crown molding that was going to go even higher? You can see how the bottom of the crown actually runs into the bottom of the staircase. Here's the column I told you about. Here's the other column. This is all wood paneling here. And then looky here, exactly what was there to begin with, just surrounded by new stuff.
Put the place up.
Do you see how we were able to increase the size of the existing built-in by adding paneling and molding and columns and things like that? The original built-in on this side and the original built-in here, but the entire thing is completely connected. So this is to complete the story. Yes, on the secondary and thirdary walls were the built-ins, but this is the first impression of this room. Here's the problem. 3 windows on the bottom, 3 windows on the top, and a ceiling that goes to heaven, I'm pretty sure. What in the world am I gonna do? Well, let me show you the after. So now you can see that these beautiful window treatments, the ironwork above it, as well as those built-ins, what a great finished family room. The cool thing about the design sessions is they are tools. A tool icon that we use to kind of exemplify to you that every single tool is important to building your house. And right now, if you're decorating your house, that's sort of like our interpretation of building a house. You need all those tools. Each one is important. So the tools that I would recommend that you unlock, if you haven't watched them yet, that would go well with today's session would be the one on lighting, the one on accessorizing, which is fantastic. You can watch any of the ones you want, but those are the ones that apply to today's session. So be sure to unlock those and watch them as well. You guys are going to be great. Your houses are going to be so incredible. And we want you guys not just to sit here and watch. This isn't about entertainment. This is education, only fun education. All right, how about some bonus footage for you? Another way you can use built-ins is in pockets of drywall. Now what I'm talking about is, let's start here. This girls' room, remember the girls' room that I showed you upstairs that we added, it was an attic and we added all that play space with the little day beds on it? Well, downstairs, this little girl had a tough time getting her shoes put away. You can actually see in this before photo that she had a probably cardboard shoe storage area here that was sitting on her staircase. Okay, there's a staircase here. You know where there's a staircase, there's usually space underneath. We ended up opening up and recessing into the wall and having it custom built, this darling little shoe receptacle cubbies for her with cabinet doors, so it looked nice, it was put away, and we used space underneath that staircase that no one ever thought to use, as well as a couple of drawers around on the other side of the staircase. That's thinking, and those are built in. All right, and here's another staircase. Guys, staircases, you should look, because there could be a lot of valuable hidden storage under there. Look at this. This is incredible. Staircases are your friend. This staircase wraps around in this entryway. It's beautiful. But as you came through and you walked through to go to the dining room, there was just like this drywall thing that kind of came here and did this. So we had the contractor open it up. And guess what? The entire, you could walk underneath of that staircase. And I said, how about if we do a built-in, an arched built-in right there so it's beautiful, doesn't look out of place. If you push it, it'll take you into this hidden room. Ah, I love hidden rooms, don't you? Oh. All right, how about this? You got a niche in your master bedroom and you've got this really weird fireplace that is completely flush. I decided to open up this little niche here. That would be the access to the bathroom. Otherwise you had to walk all the way around. Well, here's what I did. I recessed books, a little library on the walkthrough because I found hidden storage space. This living room was 20 feet tall, and we didn't want to close it in and make it 2 floors, like 2 10-foot floors. We wanted to make it an impressive living room. So when you go up this staircase, at the top of the staircase, there's this rounded Juliet balcony that you could step out onto and look down at all your friends, okay? So I decided, well, what if we open that up, turn it into a catwalk that almost surrounds that whole living room. But guess what? When you're at the Juliet balcony and you look over to the side, but can you see how deep right there? Right there is this depth of drywall. Do you know what I think when I see depth of drywall? I think hidden space we can use. Now all of that wasted space was wasted no more, and we had built-ins on both sides. So to wrap it all up and bring this episode to a close, I just want to say you now have the tools to design or create or embellish or hack a built-in in your own home. Just remember, it's going to make such a difference, and I want to see what you guys do. Let's keep this conversation going. You can post anything on Twitter anytime, our Instagram, or our Facebook page, and let me see what you've done. What have you pulled together to create that big wow first impression on one wall? All right? All right, you guys, this has been a lot of fun. Just remember, you can do it. I believe in you. Next time we'll have another session and it's going to be equally as good, if not better, because I think we get better every time, don't you think? All right, you guys, please know that I love you and I look forward to seeing you next time. I want to show you some things on my loser iPad. Can I just say, it is impossible to get photos on there, and that thing runs out of batteries all the time. Hello, Apple, get your act together. Good Lord, why can't they do it right?